Oh, the streets are cold and gray, but the fire in our hearts won't stray from the pitch where dreams collide. We'll stand together side by side. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, when the Spurs go marching in, I wanna be there in that number. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, from the north to Wembley's light, under stars we own the...
Thomas Frank has been sacked. Welcome to Project Spurs. On first time we've kind of done an emergency podcast like this before, but Thomas Frank has been relieved of his duties. The announcement came this morning with a statement saying Thomas Frank was appointed in June 2025, and we've been determined to give him the time and support needed to build the future together. However, results and performances have led to the board to conclude that a change at this point in the season is necessary. Just coming we've got two guys from Spurs Diehards, Ian and Adrian, and then a regular from Project Spurs and Diehards and every other podcast going, our resident German Frankfurt Spurs fan. Ian, just come to you first of all. Just before I went live, you said to me, "Thank fuck." So, how do you feel? How do you feel?
Well, look, I want to put out there in context. A lot of you guys will know, and maybe people watching will know, my field of work is employment law and HR, which means I'm sometimes involved in some difficult decisions where people lose their jobs, people lose their careers, their livelihood. So the thank fuck was a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek remark, because at the end of the day, my loyalty in work is to my clients or my business, and my loyalty is to my football club, not to any particular person that works with it on a temporary basis. But it was clear, and it's been clear, I probably think since the defeat to Chelsea, that it wasn't working and it was never going to work out. When players walk off the field and blank you as a manager, something has gone wrong. And if you look at everything that's happened before, since then, it's been a downhill spiral. I don't know the exact number of results we've had since then, the exact stats, but if we've won once or twice, that's a lot. If we carried on under this trajectory, relegation wasn't likely, it was inevitable, because we are on form. We are 19th, just ahead of Wolves on form. So we were going to be relegated. So it was absolutely essential. However difficult it is for Thomas and what's happened to his career, temporarily, I suspect he may end up somewhere like Palace next season. I think that's exactly the kind of job that's suited for him, and I sympathise with him. But at the end of the day, he didn't have our DNA. He wasn't a big enough man to manage Tottenham Hotspur. I don't know what we'll do now. We'll no doubt come on to it. But it is a relief, and I don't often feel that with sackings in football. It is a relief that he's gone, and we can try and move on and save this season, because relegation is a real possibility.
Yeah. Adrian, just bringing you in for some thoughts. What's your initial thoughts of Thomas Frank leaving the football club this morning?
Well, I'm on record of supporting every manager and player at this football club. And there's even when I didn't like a particular manager or player at this club, So we're now going to have to go through another rinse and repeat situation, which I hope we wouldn't have to go through. But obviously, Frank has shown he's lost his nerve. He wasn't the man for the job. And the thing that really showed him up, he failed to adapt to a worsening situation. and he panicked with team selections and things like that. You know, players play. I mean, even last night's game. You know, I mean, you know, you play a left back. If you've got to play Susie, you play him. You know, I wanted to see Graham midfield. It's things like this that annoyed me. I think Graham midfield would have made a difference yesterday, even though we were played off the park. But you know, it's just there's a combination of things: poorly timed substitutions, tactics, a long ball game. I mean, you know, you're a coach, right? You play long ball football. When you play a high press, it's to force the opposition to kick the ball long. You've got more defenders than them. You win the ball, you recycle it, you go again. Newcastle did that all game to us. They mullered us. Yeah. We got away with a 2-1. We could have been 3-0 down at half time. So, Frank, I mean, you know, you're a gasp. You know, you don't, you know, I wish him well in the future. You know, I'm not going to squeeze him. He's been unlucky with injuries, but he didn't adapt to that. That's the thing. He didn't adapt to a worsening injury crisis, you know. So
no, unfortunately not. He didn't adapt. I think is probably the best way to the situation to explain it. Phil, just coming to you. What's your initial reactions to Thomas Frank's sacking?
Yeah, like relief. Relief that it's been done. I was quite worried that the board would continue to hold on to him. In fact, that was my prediction. I think today that we wouldn't really hear much and that they would keep him for the North London derby. I haven't been very impressed with Vinay at all over the last few months in terms of his decisiveness around things, and obviously the transfer window as well. The Paratici situation and Lange, and obviously kind of sticking with Thomas Frank, let's say. But I'm very happy that we have acted fast this morning as well. You know, and it was decisive. So I'm very happy about that. And yeah, as I said, I think it's relief for us as a club that, you know, we have some positivity again as well. I mean, look, as Ian said, you know, I'm also involved in, you know, HR and, you know, kind of recruitment topics as well. So we have to, you know, mitigate some tricky situations sometimes as well, right? Also with exits and, you know, things like this. And I'm also in some ways relieved for Thomas Frank. I think, like, for him in some ways, he's been, you know, put out of his misery in some ways, you know, like, I don't think it was very nice. I don't think Thomas Frank kind of enjoyed the last couple of months because, you know, with the greatest, like, I was always in favour of Thomas Frank coming in. I really liked Thomas Frank when we hired him, and I continued to stand behind him at least until, to be honest, until the West Ham game. And I think the West Ham game was the first game where I changed my opinion. But I still was kind of okay with him probably to stay till the end of the season. But what I always liked about Thomas Frank, and I think what he genuinely is he is a nice guy. You know, he's he does things in the right way. You know, there's other managers out there who are probably more sometimes extremely unlikable in terms of the kind of things that they would say and do and act. And I don't think anyone can not say that Thomas Frank is, you know, a nasty kind of guy, right? He's a nice guy. And I think it would have been very difficult for him the last few months. And you could see the rising pressure, you know, on him. You could see it in his face, you know, the state being, you know, going to our home stadium where we just can't win games, you know, and week after week, you know, being subjected to that kind of, you know, atmosphere is tough. And I'm glad that he's now, you know, kind of, as I said, being put out of his misery in some ways. And, you know, he's going to get a nice payoff. He's going to get a lot of money. He can take some time off because he was at Brentford for so many years. And as Ian said, he'll come back. And he'll come back at the level of club which is more suited to him, which is, you know, a stable kind of, you know, everything steady, you know, like lower transfer budgets, different way of things, not being the club always on the back pages, right, when something happens, which it does, right, for a top 4 or top 6 club, right, one of the biggest clubs in the country. And he'll find his way back, and that's all good. So look, happy today, happy there's positivity, that we can kind of get a bit of excitement. We're in a bad situation, but we have a bit of excitement now about, who's going to take over, what's coming next, is it going to be Poch coming in or not? You know, all these things, right? So I think today we as Spurs fans need to embrace that we've actually been decisive finally. You know, better late than never. We've made the decision and now we can move on for everyone.
It definitely is better late than never. I felt
Gary, can we get your
really-
take on it? I know you're the host, and I know what it's like when I'm the host, that you don't always put in your opinion. But I think a lot of us and people, your audience, would like to know what your view is.
He should have gone after West Ham. I was told he was going after West Ham and got pelters online for it, and it is what it is. You know, you put yourself out in that position. There was one person, really, maybe two, keeping him in the job, and that was Vinay and Yang Lang. I was told last night that he was going, but I couldn't get that reconfirmed from another person I knew, so I didn't say anything. And from this morning, Yang Lang and Vinay yesterday had said, yeah, I think we need to make a change. It seemed to be shareholders had spoke up as well. I have had a text just now, actually. It says... and take these with a pinch of salts as well. From my insider, Poch, the club has never made noises in that direction, and a lot of fairy tale feeling on that is from the supporters. Likelihood it would be a panic signing. The sacking was not planned. A new member of staff was just brought in, as in Heitinger. The decision was a knee jerk, and now it'd be a rush in terms of making a new appointment. That's where I think yesterday, like I said just before, with Johan Lang and Vinay changing their minds. I think yesterday he sat there and said, "Oh, this just cannot continue," and I think that's where the knee jerkness of it came in. They did end saying De Zerbi is, if available, which he is, and he wants it, is probably likely to be the next Tottenham manager. So again, take those with pinch of salts, because somebody else has told me Pochettino has been sounded out for now or in the summer. If he wants it in the summer, they will likely make a interim change, which will probably be maybe Ryan Mason or Heitinger. In terms of my opinion, he should have gone after the West Ham game. I think he's an excellent manager. I think he's clearly very highly intelligent, very likable. But I think with what Phil said, he's come into an unstable environment where he's expected to hit the ground running. And he didn't even do that at Brentford either. He came in and lost a large proportion of his first few games in charge, and they stuck with it. Tottenham just aren't going to do that. We aren't in a position to do that. And we've gotten to the point now where there is no identity on that football pitch. I was talking to two young American lads that were sat next to me yesterday, very passionate about the game. One lad said to me, "I'm actually paying money to watch this," which made me laugh. And he said, "This like watching paint dry." And I said, tell me what the style of play is, and they couldn't. And that is where we're at now. We started yesterday's game unbalanced on the left hand side. There was an injury. We went unbalanced on the right hand side, despite two players sitting on the bench that could have come in and balanced things out. We had a left back sitting on the bench. You've just paid £15 million for him. If £15 million is okay to make a transfer and we are short, put him in. He's got to play. You just got to play these people. We've got a centre midfielder playing at right back, a right back playing at left back. It's just complete imbalance all the time. We look lifeless, soulless, unmotivated, uncreative. It was time. He should have gone after West Ham. They should have made that decision now. This is very much like this text I've just read out. It's a knee-jerk reaction because they have been, and I'm going to say arrogant, thinking it'll be okay. It'll be okay. I always use this analogy before with when you talk to younger people about like money and stuff. If you owe a credit card and you can't pay it, for instance, you get a bill through, right? And then you can't pay the bill. I don't earn enough money. I remember telling some young family members, and I've heard people like just hide the letter away, but that's not going to go away. It isn't going to end. It's not going to go anywhere. And this is the same scenario just in football. They've tried to keep putting this under a carpet, thinking that this will go away, and things will change, and it hasn't. The players clearly are ill-disciplined. Our captain is completely ill-disciplined. He's come out on social media essentially going for the board and going for the lack of recruitment and lack of players, and then the next game is the one that gets himself sent off, which has us having even less players. So in terms of management, he had to go. I think he had to go several weeks ago. I'm pleased he has gone. I just hope there is a plan in place. As I say, early indications, I think it'll be an interim appointment until the end of the summer. Main reason I think that is there's going to be a large amount of head coaches changing in the summer, and I think they'll have the option to look at that. Who that might be, I honestly don't. I'm in two minds. For me, it has to be Mauricio Pochettino. The reason being for Mauricio, there's a number of reasons. It will unite a large section, albeit not all of the fan base, which we need. It was pretty soulless yesterday in that stadium. I've never seen so many people leave about 15 minutes before a game. I was pretty close as well myself. It'll unite a large section. At least we know what the playing style is, because we are now in the middle of February, and I generally couldn't tell you what Thomas Frank's playing style is outside of getting it to the right, shitting ourselves on the edge of the 18-yard box, recycling back to the double pivot, trying to go out to the left-hand side, and then keep doing that. We get to the edge of a box and just crumble as a team. We've got no creativity. They look like they are handcuffed consistently. At least with Mauricio, we understand what that style is, and we can get behind some of it. I honestly don't know who else can come in immediately and change something. It's quite concerning. There obviously are a lot of names being brought up. I've been told so many today. Robbie Keane has been a name that's been brought up. I know that. Obviously, Xavi Hernandez has been spoken about. Obviously, Mauricio. Biggest one at the moment is Roberto De Zerbi. He seems to be just really because he left Marseille yesterday. We've let our manager go today, and I think 2 and 2 makes 5. I'm going to go to all of you guys really and just tell me who you would like to see as the next manager, or if you're prepared for that interim, because the interim could be Stuart Lewis, it could be Wayne Barnett, it could be Johnny Heitinger, it could be Ryan Mason. We just don't know. But start with you, Ian. Who for you would be the interim, or would you go down the permanent route straight away?
I want to add something or comment on something that you said, Gary, that really worries me. And it goes to the heart of the abject lack of leadership and proper management within the club. Is that it was clear, I think, from about November that there was a potential problem. Now, any sensible board, and we're talking about Vinay, would have been sounding out candidates to say, look, we're sticking with Thomas Frank, but if it doesn't work, are you interested in coming to this club and doing the job? It is... You know how football works with so many back channels and what have you, talking to agents and what have you. It is beyond comprehension that Vinay had this blinkered idea, just not only give him time to turn it round. I sort of get that because it was his appointment and it's his credibility that is shot this morning as much as Thomas Frank's. It's the fact that they did nothing in the transfer window in terms of players, or at least not very much, and then don't appear to have any sort of contingency plan for what happens if this doesn't work out. Now, thankfully, they've done it, and we've got 11 days or so for somebody to come in and at least put some sort of stamp and authority on the team, on the style. It's not a pre-season, but 10 days is better than 3 days. So we do have a chance from that point of view. You stuck the names up there. I think Pochettino, yes, it will unite the fan base. What happens if it doesn't work? the manager I would have given a go to, and I would have done this around Christmas time, would have been Xavi Hernandez. I just think he's got everything that we would want in a coach: adventurous, attacking football, gives youth a chance, etc. The fact that it didn't work out for him at Barcelona, I don't think is is to his detriment, if you like. What was it, Phil? Was it Dortmund he was at?
No,
Sorry,
he's
who?
always been
Sorry?
he's been at Barcelona,
Barcelona.
and he was at El Sayed in Qatar.
I thought he was in Germany. No,
Yeah.
No,
He's
I mean,
never
I know
been. He's
that
never.
the other
No.
or Zabi Alonso has, and I suspect.
Yeah, Xabi
I mean,
Alonso, the one that played for Liverpool, he was at Bayern Leverkusen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Leverkusen. I mean, if he were remotely interested, you know, I would personally carry him on my shoulders from Madrid or wherever he
Well,
is now.
from information I was told as well before the West Ham game, they had sounded out some managers. They were putting it out there, and
Okay.
Michael Carrick was one of those that they sounded out.
Yeah.
But again, the issue I think that they've had is they were so keen to stick with Thomas Frank and felt it was more like a Mikel Arteta Arsenal situation. Now, Phil's just shared me something here. This is from Matt Law. Matt Law
I've
said
seen this. Yeah, thanks, Phil. I've got this too.
Thomas Frank is said to have regularly referenced the strengths of Arsenal in team meetings, much to the frustration of some players who quickly got sick of it. Before and after games at the Emirates, he was telling them how good Arsenal were. The feeling among some was very much just shut up about Arsenal. Social media pictures poking fun at Frank and portraying him as an obsessive Arsenal fan were not just shared among Spurs fans, but also members of the Spurs staff. Now, as you guys know, I sit just in front of the media section, which actually has all the analysts in. So the analyst behind me yesterday was all the Newcastle ones. On the side that I sit, sometimes I sit on the right hand side rather than the left. So when I sit on the right hand side, and Phil knows where I do sit, just behind me are the Tottenham analysts. And I think I shared this with Phil. I'm pretty sure I did. On the game before Dortmund, which I think was West Ham, they all sat there with big red tumblers like this, red ones. And I looked at them and they looked at me and I sort of thought to myself, it's red. You've just come off the Bournemouth, is it Bournemouth away, wasn't it? It was the game after Bournemouth where he's just been pictured with an Arsenal cup and you're all sat there with big red, bright red tumblers. Now, yesterday they didn't have them, funny enough, but just little things like that to me just thinks, what is going on? And that doesn't surprise me how much he keeps referencing Arsenal in anything he says. Ultimately, that he's not at the football club anymore, but it's not helped him at all. Adrian, just coming to you though, initial thoughts on who potentially you'd like to see at the football club?
Well, I posted 16 manager choices, and some of them are obviously left field, but we'll discuss that tonight on our show. But yeah, I mean, I want Poch. I mean, he's got the Premier League experience, right? He took us to a new level where we were like expecting Champions League football, finished second, third, and fourth. He wasn't backed for 518 days. Makes you wonder what he would have done if he had been backed. You know the brand of football you're going to get with Poch as well. You know the pattern of play. I just think he would, you know, he would be perfect for us second time around. I get the fact that others say he didn't win nothing, blah, blah, blah. But the only player he got back with, which was too late, was Ndombele. He didn't sign Lo Celso, as fans think. He was signed under Mourinho. And like, I just think when he said, I need new furniture and all that, he knew that the team was one of the youngest teams playing the high press that he introduced. They started to get a bit leggy. He wanted changes. He wasn't backed. And I just think he would do a good job. I think he'd do a very good job. He would pacify the fan base, unite them. I know there's fans out don't want him for whatever reason. But yeah, no, I'm potching all the way on this. And I don't want look, there's a very famous quote about decisions made in haste are bad decisions, right? And all this, you were going to get a knee-jerk reaction there, get someone in, get them in, blah, blah, blah. No, get the interim in.
Yeah, we need
Take
that.
time, we don't want to make a mistake. If we get someone other than Poch, which is probably likely as well, right? Let's do the due diligence. Let's make sure the manager that comes in has got Spurs DNA. That's the most important thing to me. I don't care if he's famous as long as he's got Spurs DNA. Yeah.
We definitely need that. Now, one player has already made comment of the dismissal of Thomas Frank. Pedro Porro has posted to his Instagram account saying, "Thank you very much and the best for your career, boss. A praying emoji, heart, a pleasure." So it seems to be the first one I've seen player-wise coming out and wishing Thomas Frank the best. I understand, though, that there is around 20 members of staff that he's brought in, both people we see and internal stuff. I had journalists from the Standard Sport on, and they said he has done a lot of internal changes, which they believe, as in Vinay and the board, think that are going to be something that's going to help Tottenham in the long run. But they are also appointments as well. So there is a lot. Obviously, we just brought in a ex-Brentford physio, haven't we? What, a week ago? So there's a lot of changes potentially there. From a couple of reports I've been told, Justin Cochran will probably also be leaving, which I don't think is too much of a surprise given the relationship with Thomas Frank. So there'll be a lot of people probably leaving the club as well. And then again, it's who's coming in. As I said, my understanding, I think, well, from what I've been told and what I probably think, there'll be an interim in the meantime. Who that interim is, though, I don't know. Phil, is it an interim, permanent? Where would you go with it?
I think it's got to be an interim. I don't really see how we're going to anyways appoint a manager within the next couple of days before Arsenal, who's going to be our permanent manager, try to take over in this situation now where clearly what we need until the end of the season is more of a, I would say, a motivation job, really. We need someone who can come in and reset the players, help them to rebuild their confidence, however they do that. Even if it is just making them feel better about themselves and, bringing some positivity in, a bit like Harry Redknapp would have done, right? Probably in the old days. And by the way, anyone suggesting, in all seriousness, Harry to come in and do that interim is completely clueless because, I mean, he's I don't know if he's over 80, but, he's been away from the game. He's been away from the game for so long, right? And that's not realistic. But we need someone, I think, like that, right? Until the end of the season, you can come in and just get the players feeling good about themselves again and playing a bit freer. They don't need to come in and start playing all-out attack, but they need to come in and make sure that that the players feel confident in terms of what they're doing on the pitch, and that they understand very simple requests until the end of the year, until the end of the season. I think, I agree with probably the majority here, but for me, it's got to be Poch in the summer. In the past, I've always loved Poch, right? He's been a big hero of mine. I loved him when he was at the club. I loved his book, after he left, read that, and I've reading it again actually now. I love Poch. But in the past, I would have, there was times where I said, I don't really want him to come back for various reasons, or maybe if he comes back in the future, then, still in a few more years, when we're maybe under different ownership or in a different situation. But I've always loved him. And to be honest, I think he is the only, we've said it before, but I think he's the only option now that we have who will come in, who has cash in the bank, from the past. So we know it's not going to be a magical, change and transformation next season from day one, right? We're not going to, start winning every game, right? And probably start playing, first, second, third in the league. We are still going to have difficult, matches and stuff. And at least with someone like Poch, he has the cash in the bank. And if he explains and communicates effectively to the fan base, they'll understand that, and they'll support him on it as well. And he's the only person I think right now who can bring this fan base together where everyone will feel even more positive about the club again, regardless of what the ownership situation is at the moment. And, make us actually feel united again and singing in the stadium, get the whole stadium singing the Pochettino song, he's magic. That's what we want to get back to. And he understands the club. And if anyone else comes in, even if it was, let's just say De Zerbi comes in either now or in the summer, but let's say he comes in the summer, it's still a very risky appointment, getting someone else in fresh, a hothead. And, the fan base will be split on someone like that, right? Because De Zerbi also has a reputation. There's a lot of people don't like him because of what he's done for what's his name, for the ex-Man United player.
We don't mention him here.
No, exactly.
You don't want to. I refuse to mention him. But I agree with you, Phil. For me, we need to unite a large section of the audience. There is going to be a large number of people that don't want Mauricio Pochettino back, and I get that and understand that. We are slightly lost, I think, as a club at the moment. Oddly, I was walking out yesterday, and just random people, as you do, you talk on your way out while you're walking up the steps, and everyone said to me, Daniel Levy would have sacked him by now, would have sacked him weeks ago. And how many times have we all called for Daniel to be sacked and to leave? And I'm not in any way advocating for him to come back, but at least he understood. And do you know what? He understood us as a fan base when it was tough. He knew, okay, this time today, and we were holding on. Now, there's a question I am getting pretty bombarded on on Twitter. So if you are watching this and you are waiting for me to answer a question on Twitter, please put it under this chat so I can answer it on here, because the notifications have gone crazy and I won't be able to keep up. There was a question though from Neil W. Hartlepool. He said, big question, and I mean big. And this is going to come to you, Ian. Can we trust the board to make the right appointment? If they get it right, we'll probably survive. If not, the unthinkable could become a reality.
Don't trust this board at all. Funnily enough, going on with Daniel Levy, Levy's made some catastrophic mistakes. Catastrophic's too strong, but some pretty horrific errors in terms of that's someone at my door. I'm going to have to come back to you. Sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Adrian, I'm going to come to you on that question. What's your thoughts on that? Does the board have to get this appointment right?
Yeah, that's why they shouldn't rush it. That's definitely why they shouldn't rush it. I mean, get the interim in. I think Klinsmann could do the job. He is a motivator. He was a motivator in the dressing room before. I'm not sure how old he is now, but I still think he could do the job. It's working for ESPN, I think, at the moment. So he would be available if he wanted to do it, of course. You might have other ex-players you could bring in. But, I mean, I haven't got confidence in the board. They're fans, but their football knowledge, they're just ingrained in business and making money, aren't they? They're not they're not football people. So they do not. I mean, I've got no confidence in the board. Vinay, his first decision, all right. He's got it wrong, but in fairness to him, there was a lot of the fan base wanted Frank in. I'm the same when we bring a manager in, and when it was Mourinho and Conte and all that, my first attitude towards them was, okay, I'm going to support you, like I did Frank and all that, but you're not Spurs DNA. Didn't know nothing about Nuno, right? You're not Spurs DNA, and like this is the proper due diligence. It seems to me with the likes of Mourinho and Conte, they want a game show host. It's got to be a famous manager because we're a big club and we've got to promote our brand in that sort of showbiz way to the rest of the world. I don't agree with that. If the manager's good enough and plays a good attacking style, I don't want a manager that comes in that plays counter-attacking football, for example. I don't want that. I want our DNA is fast, attractive, attacking football. Yeah. Which we've lost our way. We've lost it since Poch. I haven't enjoyed watching football at a stadium since Poch.
No, I've really struggled to watch. I've really struggled with it. I put a picture of White Hart Lane up yesterday when I got in. I got in about 11:30. I put a picture of White Hart Lane. I just missed that place. Ian, just coming to you with a separate question, actually, relating to obviously people joining us. There's over 400 of you, which is pretty cool because we literally just put this together at short notice.
Of course.
We're trying to trust the board to make the right decision.
Yeah.
They came out very well spoken, and they put this data-driven policy together to bring in Thomas Frank. I think Maurizio has also gone on record in the High Performance podcast and said that we don't need data-driven stuff. We can use talent ID with our eyes. Surely the ownership can look at that and say Yoang Lang, whoever else was part of it, I guess Paratici was part of it. Levy, now he's gone. We should be looking at managers in terms of motivational and what they're doing on the pitch rather than on a spreadsheet. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, 100%. And the question you asked before the postman came to the door with a parcel.
I just got the postman as well. I just got a notification, but I weren't leaving for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Was do I trust the board to manage this? To manage this process? I have no confidence, and I picked up what Adrian was saying. I have no confidence in this board whatsoever to make the right decisions to manage the club. I've complained about the people that are on it, their financiers. One's a specialist in aviation. That I don't think any of them have got much idea about running a business like this. And even though some of them are senior executives, football is a very, very different kind of industry. Daniel Levy said, "You will miss me when I'm gone." Well, I tell you what, we miss Daniel Levy. We miss Daniel's leadership. I'm not saying, oh, bring Daniel back. Daniel is the worst kind of micromanager, and anyone who's ever worked under a micromanager knows how difficult that is and how demotivating that is, which is why so many good people, not footballers, but senior people, Paul Barber, Paul Mitchell, Daniel Commerley, etc., have left the club because the working conditions under Daniel Levy became intolerable. He also has this terrible negotiating style of needing to win a negotiation. You will need a psychologist to work out what's behind that. But at the same time, he would never, ever have let this club get into the state it's in now. No, I have no confidence in this board whatsoever to make the right appointment for the right reasons, because I don't think any of them understand what we understand about the game.
Yeah, it's very concerning. Cal, just coming to you. Welcome. I see you joining us from your car. You are at work. We do appreciate you jumping in with us. We've asked everybody so far initial reactions of Thomas Frank's dismissal today. What are your thoughts initially?
Not unexpected, let's put it that way. Realistically, we knew it was going to happen. We obviously had a lot of links last night. Myself and you were sharing quite a bit of stuff that we was hearing from internally, that the club shareholders are going to be meeting this morning alongside Tavistock and ENIC employees to discuss it. So it wasn't unexpected, but there was that lingering doubt, that thinking, oh God, this bastard might survive again and all that. I mean, this guy's had more lives than a cat, let's put it that way. But realistically, it's what's needed. I think Frank's a nice guy, but I don't think this appointment will go down as very good in our history, to be honest. I mean, he lasted longer than Nuno, but realistically, it's not unexpected. And I think by us doing it now, it at least allows us to resurrect something from the season, because if not, we was on a downward spiral. And once that trajectory goes, it's just down. And based on what we've heard this morning, Matt Law saying about how he's been running training sessions, trying to focus on the opposition too much, also having too much of an influence of them roaming gypsies down the road as well, seems to reference everyone and everyone who aren't Spurs. And
Mm.
it's not good, because it just looks like from day one he's had a good influence on the background of the club in terms of data analytics and rebuilding certain departments. But on the pitch, we haven't seen anything that we saw with him at Brentford. We've seen no style, nothing like that. So realistically, it's not unexpected. I'm happy he's gone. Now it's down to who we bring in, and obviously who remains as well from his coaching staff is what intrigues me the
So
most.
we brought that up earlier. Obviously, there's a question on screen. Is there any word on the rest of the backroom staff? I think there's about 20 of them that Thomas Frank's brought in. We did say this earlier, but obviously there are more people joining us, so we'll just go over that again. Because there is 500 of you watching at the moment, which is pretty great. So thank you for that. There is about 20 people, and one was appointed last week in terms of a physio. So a lot of those people need to see if they want to, even if they want to stay, they may be too loyal to Thomas and be relieved of their duties as well. Likelihood that they might also be part of the issue, so they'll be moved on. There's a number that are Tottenham related people, Stuart Lewis being one of them, so likely he'll probably stay on. Just to clarify and go over what I said at the beginning of the show for the newer audience, the club has taken the decision to make the change in the men's head coaching position, and Thomas Frank will leave today. Thomas was appointed in June 2025, and we have been determined to give him time and support needed to build together for the future. However, results and performances have led the board to conclude that a change at this point in the season is necessary. Throughout his time at the club, Thomas has conducted himself with unwavering commitment, given everything in his efforts to move the club forward. We'd like to thank him for his contributions and wish him the very best success in the future. It is the right decision to have made. It has come late. We have to, in a way, applaud the board for saying, okay, we have made a decision. We have made an incorrect appointment, and we have to fix it. And as I said earlier, for those joining now, because the numbers are going up and up and up, as it stands, likely indications are a interim appointment until the end of the season is most likely. This is due to the high amount of changes coming in the head coaches market in the summer. It's likely the reason a interim will be brought in. Callum, just coming back to you, so I've asked all the other guys the same question. Interim now with an appointment in the summer, or would you look to make a appointment right away?
Depends on who they actually want. And obviously, we've all been led to believe that Pochettino is the desired outcome. There have been apparently contacts with him or his camp as such to see what the conditions could be for him to come now, but likely more the summer. So if we are going to stick to wanting Pochettino, then you do an interim now and then you go for Poch in the summer. If you can get Poch now, then you throw the kitchen sink here, you throw everything and anything. I mean, I'm sure all five of us here would do a GoFundMe to try and get him out of that release clause. I mean, Ian will give up cruise holidays for God knows how many years and enjoy his retirement. Phil will give up living in Germany to come back to England. He will launch a parade. Adrian will build a house for it. And Gary, me and you will hold up a banner saying, "You are magic, welcome back." But
I'll drive now. I'm ready. I've got a can of Pepsi that's newly opened. I've got a black tumbler, not a red one like we see the analysts using at Tottenham, ready, full of water. I've got charged up headphones. I can drive. Let's go pick him up now.
And
I mean, imagine. Sorry.
Apparently he's only 10 minutes from where I live anyway, quite regularly. So it won't take me very long to go pick him up.
Has he still got a house in Enfield at Hadley Wood?
He apparently comes to Newmarket quite a lot, and it's 10 minutes from where I am. So if he's there now, Maurizio, please, I bombard you on Instagram nearly every time you post anything. Just let me know. I'll come get you now.
Imagine the Arsenal game, and Poch is the manager, and there are 55,000 people singing, oh, he's magic, Maurizio Pochettino.
Yeah.
I mean, You can just picture that.
I was
can
singing it last night. I sang it as loud as I could.
Yeah.
Really, I wanted to make sure that the journalist behind me could see. And then when it went a little bit quiet, I shouted, "Now type that on your laptop." So hopefully, if there's any indication this morning that there was lots of chat, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But all seriousness, it just look if there is a possibility of rewinding this. When Callum mentioned Maurizio, and then we came to you, Ian, your face lit up.
Yeah, I just have a vision. It's if he can come now. I mean,
Yeah.
I did discuss this on Diehards on Sunday with that interview, him and Jesus together talking about Tottenham with that glint in his eye, and I just wondered if he was considering that. If the job is available, whether he's spoken to the American, the Men's Football Association, there they call it, about it. Look, Tottenham have asked me if they sack the manager, can I go now? Do you have a contingency plan or whatever? Maybe they've got they could get Klinsmann back or so. I don't know. I mean, I genuinely don't know. But can I read in this context, Gary, quickly a quote or a tweet from Chris Sutton this morning. Romero stupidly getting sent off when his manager really needed him sums up why it wasn't meant to be for Thomas Frank at Spurs. I feel really sorry for him. The problem at Spurs run far deeper. Nobody knows what Spurs' identity is anymore. Now, I couldn't agree with that more, and I suspect every one of you will agree with every word of that.
Definitely. And the thing as well is, I was just about to bring up a quote or a question that one of the guys from Twitter has sent, and he's actually said quite similar. He said, "We've had 8 coaches in 7 years since Poch, vast range of experiences, style, system, etc., but exactly the same result. The problems higher up need to be addressed. The attitude of the owners and the clubs." Needs to fundamentally change. Otherwise, everyone that's hired is set up to fail. That's a pretty bang on statement, isn't it?
It's completely bang on. I mean, it's fully accurate. We haven't really talked about the ownership again too much, I think, so far today. But, for me, I would really, really hope that whoever's in charge at Spurs in the summer, assuming it's ENIC still, but, whoever's running the show there, would actually make a big call and move on Vinay and Lange in the summer as well. I'm not sure how likely that is, but I would like to think that Vinay and Lange don't have maybe the best standing at the moment, right, with the powers that be above, based on their handling of the Thomas Frank situation and, as I said, Paratici situation and the transfer window generally, and communication, etc. For me, there still needs to be wholesale change. Otherwise, whoever else comes in as the manager is just going to be hitting the same brick walls as always. But for me, again, we need to sort out the sporting director situation anyways, right? That's just as important, actually, as the new manager. And if it is going to be Poch in the summer, let's say, we need to have a sporting director or whatever you want to call that role, right? But as I've said before, for me, it's not just a glorified head of transfer strategy. It's a head of football who has the transfer thing under him, right? But it's someone who maybe is not the club CEO, but someone who literally is a football person and understands it. And whether that's Paul Mitchell or someone like that, fine. But that person needs to come in latest in the summer. But I mean, for me, I would be looking at that sooner. But again, it's all complicated because what happens with Vinay? Are we trusting in Vinay for the long term? Because he's just an employee of the club, right? He's not a massive shareholder or an owner or a part owner or anything like that. He's just an employee, albeit a senior one. We don't know what his contractual situation is, but he can be swapped out.
I do have something to share that's come from Miguel Dalina, who is part of the Independent. He's a chief writer at the Independent. He has shared Tottenham consider Mauricio Pochettino to be their ideal new manager and would like to install the Argentine coach immediately. would be forced to turn towards contingency plan due to the 2026 World Cup. So look, these are things that me and Cal have shared privately with people. I sat there yesterday and I heard 70% of that stadium chant for Mauricio Pochettino. The club have to start listening to its consumers and its fan base. It makes no. I mean, he's clearly the number one for a lot of us. Ian, you have brought. Sorry, Adrian. I'm going to come to you after this question. So you've raised some really good points in the chat there, which I'd like you to address. But Cal, I just want to come to you with Martin's comment here, because I absolutely agree with this. I feel like the weight of the world has kind of come off shoulders a little bit, just knowing that there is change coming. Do you feel the similar?
I still think it's too early to tell, to be honest, because realistically, we know it's not just the on-field issues we had. There was obviously stuff in the background that is the problem. And even though there's been a lot of restructuring, there is still a new board, a new sporting direction, which they need to address. And that comes into Ian's comments and Phil's comments about the sporting director being the correct one if they are going to keep this two-man model, everything like that. And realistically, if we are being honest, there has to be a review all the way through now, because like what the guys said, Vinay and Langer stayed with Frank all the way along. How they didn't see we was in a downward spiral is the concern. Just one thing to add on the Pochettino bit where you said about what Miguel Delaney said, there have been questions asked of whether, and this is very, very rare in football, if there could be a joint coaching approach to this, where Pochettino remains with the national team but also takes on day-to-day duties with Spurs as well. That's what's been put to me in the last hour or so. So that is something that is being reviewed by all areas to see if there is an option to do that as well.
I mean, it certainly is an intelligent way of looking at it and thinking about it. I mean, I've thought about it loads. Last night I thought about it on the way home. Can we pay half of his fee and say, look, carry on. We'll give you some money. We'll I don't know, we'll bring the MLS over here in the summer. You could play a little friendly in our state or something, you know, if he is the person that they want. But Adrian, just coming to you, you made some real good points in the chat there. There is about 6 of them. So I'm going to let you just make your points on what you was raising there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I've said basically is, look, Frank, has failed to adapt to a worsening situation. That's what's been his downfall, playing players out of position when we all know, that, you get more balance by playing the right, square pegs in square holes, don't you? So, like, he hasn't done that. And then he panicked. I think he lost his nerve. He lost the dressing room. I think the players were still playing at, out of professional pride, And well, so now he's gone, and I actually think if respect, if you're going to appoint an interim, I would give Wayne Burnett the job, simply because, like, I've seen the way the under-21s have played under him. I would definitely give him the interim job and tell him, look, your job's safe even if it doesn't go well, because you've done so well with the under-21s. And bringing players through, young players through. I think you'd find a couple of youngsters getting into this team. And with Pochettino as well. I mean, you've also got to take into consideration that, like, Conor Gallagher was his captain at Chelsea. And he's Argentinian. So if anyone can, like, calm down Romero at times, it will be him. So, but me, I'd pick Wayne Burnett. He's probably not a name, but because he's got respect in the club through the levels, I think the players would take to him. It's not like he's a total unknown. He's got respect. He's won trophies. So he would be my choice. Heitinga, he didn't do too well at Ajax, did he? And he was at West Ham and Liverpool. I mean, he obviously is a good coach. We wouldn't have brought him in if we hadn't checked his CV out and done the due diligence. But he's probably one of those coaches that is a coach, a very good coach, but not good enough to manage. You know,
Yeah.
so
I mean, he is a current Premier League winner at the moment, isn't he? He
yeah,
won the Premier
Liverpool,
League last
yeah.
season with Liverpool. I'm conscious of time because we need to. This is lunch hour for me. Even though I work at home before Callum starts shouting down the because I can mute him on here before he starts shouting at me. Wayne Barnett would be someone I'd be interested in. I met Wayne. Me and Callum met Wayne 2 weeks ago. He invited myself to the under-21s game, brought Callum along, part of our Project Spurs. He's a great guy. Got to speak to him quite regularly privately. I would be very keen on him coming in. I think it will probably be. I've got a feeling it'd be either Heitinger or Ryan Mason. And if it's Ryan Mason, that to me is a nod towards Poch in the future. We are going to log off in the next couple of minutes. We are back at 7 o'clock tonight on the channel here. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback. We are back here at 7 o'clock tonight, so please join us. Got Billy T from Change Spurs. We'll get his thoughts as well. Spurs Diehards are also live tonight, I believe at 7
o'clock. So
you were muted there, Adrian. Sorry, what was you saying?
I was just going to say we're live at 9. Ian's welcome.
Live at 9.
Gavins, all are welcome to come on. I'll put the link out. We can, because it's such an important issue at this time.
Yeah.
I'll give everyone their say. I've sent the link to you. I'll send it to Callum. If Phil's got it, I think Ian can up on any time he wants to. There's a few others. Let them come and have their say. This is their club, you know.
Yeah, so we are here at Project Spurs, and obviously on my Twitter account, which there's 700 of you watching through at the moment. We'll be back at 7 o'clock. We'll probably do an hour and a half. Billy T will be with us. Cal, I believe you're back with us. Phil, you're definitely with us as well. I know we've got Joseph and Cy back as well. And then over to Spurs Diehards at 9 o'clock this evening. I'm just going to go around to each of you. I just want one name for you. For the next Tottenham Hotspur manager. Ian, I'm going to start with you because I'm sure the postman will be turning up with your next Amazon parcel shortly.
It's my job offer as the next manager. No, I'll happily go with Poch. I put that thing in the chat about the Holy Trinity. Paul Barber now doing an amazing job at Brighton. Paul Mitchell, one of the most respected directors of football in the game, unencumbered by Levy's management style. That, to me, is the way ahead. Let them all come back and finish the job. They nearly did so well 6 years ago.
Absolutely. Phil, coming to you, my Frankfurt friend. Who do you want?
Exactly the same as Ian. Poch to come in. I would love it if there's any kind of deal to be done to get him in earlier and do it at the same time with his US job. I doubt it's possible. He's probably got like media commitments and stuff in the US, things like that. But I would love it. But as long as he comes in latest in the summer, I'll be a very happy man. And also the Holy Trinity, absolutely. Paul Barber's a legend. He knows the club. Paul Mitchell's a legend, knows the club. That would be a great hat trick.
Absolutely. And Adrian, just finishing with you. Are we going to get a hat trick of suggestions?
Definitely Poch and Jesus, because we need a miracle. Yeah. Yeah. So get him in. I don't think there's enough time to sort out all the legal. I mean, Ian, I know what the ins and outs of all of this. This is going to be complex, getting him out of his contract and paying compensation or paying a fee for a loan fee for him and things like that. There isn't enough time for that. If the club need to move swiftly, get Wayne Burnett in, give him the job. The players will back him.
Right, and we're going to make it. I scored 4 once in a game. Scored 4 goals. 4th goal was a tap in, but I'll take it anyway. We're going to go for Mauricio Pochettino to back as soon as possible. We have done 59 minutes. So I have 1 more minute left. Thank you to the 802 people that are joining us today. Again, Callum is back with us. Callum, can we make it a Fab 5? Who would be your ideal appointment?
Pochettino and Paul Mitchell coming back as sporting director. I don't mind if Langer stays on with the academy, but he stays there and has no impact whatsoever on anything else within the club. Let's put it that way.
So we've scored 5 today for Poch. Let's hope that anybody from the club is even listening to this. Obviously they're not, but let's hope that they go on Twitter and see the output for one individual or a tandem, really, because I thought massive credit to him for going on a huge podcast and bringing on an assistant with him to really say how much and how important he was to the overall scheme of things. Again, 7 o'clock tonight, I'll be back here on Twitter and on YouTube and wherever else we stream to. That'll be the regular Project Spurs boys. And after that, 9 o'clock, go over to Spurs Diehards on YouTube. Give them a like, follow. Have a good discussion with them. They answer a lot of questions in the chat. I'm going to try and make it on there as well. And let's hope we've got some more information for you between now and in the next 6 hours. But until then, thank you so much for joining us. 814 of you. Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Gary.
Oh, the streets are